Good morning, and welcome to this new appointment with the morning briefing. Let's start right away. Let's do a recap, a moment of what happened yesterday. In short, yesterday the day was, in summary, important in the sense that we had reached the brink. As noted in yesterday morning's morning briefing, we had reached right up to those areas that we have repeatedly pointed out where we could expect a return of the sellers, which manifested itself. Consequently, probably also due to President Trump's words regarding tariffs for no car production and therefore the sale of cars in the United States. The Trump administration, which continues on its own path, therefore absolutely in line with what was promised during the election campaign. The administration expects a bit of an economy in difficulties at the beginning of Trump's term, but in short, a prospect of improving the economy, therefore, with spending cuts. We will then see all the developments and the concreteness of how these measures can provide real benefits to the entire economy. In my opinion, I believe that they are essentially positive interventions. It's what I would expect from if I had voted for Trump. What is he doing? That said, from an operational point of view, as we were saying, in short, we had reached close to those important levels. So let's take a moment to look at a chart. This is obviously the NASDAQ from which we start. I wanted to take a 1-hour chart. Here it is. This, in short, is what we showed yesterday. In short, we had reached exactly these levels here, which we pointed out yesterday. We slightly touched them. There wasn't really strength from there. The price, in short, broke the BC3 range from yesterday. In short, it started to drop with rather significant volumes. In short, let's return to the gas with a 5-minute chart so that we can also with rather significant volumes, a copious descent without pause. There were some rebounds, but just at technical levels like SD2, SD1. However, essentially, they never resembled. The bulls never found strong incentives to overturn the situation. At the moment, the situation remains the same. The European markets have just opened on a down note. And also this morning, in short, at the moment we are working, this is still the NASDAQ, we are working at today's BC3 levels, so we are already adjusting them. This, in short, that's it. They are formed. It's evening, so we are already working on it. Supported just below. In short, the situation seems to be one of the worst. In short, as the day's scenario among the worst in terms of rigor, meaning that we might probably witness another day of selling, in short, a sell-off. We will then see the developments. This, in short, seems to be the scenario. From the first moves, look how during the night, a recovery was attempted, but then they arrived here. Look how then all the highs and lows have been increasing up to reaching the test again of the BC3 level on which it is now attempting a recovery. We will see while we are already below SDCA as a range, let's say, of expectation. At this moment, it could easily widen even up to S2. The volatility is there. In short, I repeat, Europe at this moment has opened on a down note. We will then see the developments if they will be able, in short, even the European futures to find a moment of balance to attempt a recovery. So we are definitely monitoring this area of SD1 as the first stronghold. And on the upside, obviously 140-150, so 140-170 with our T0. In short, for a first attempt at recovery, but I repeat, at the moment the pressure is bearish. Let's say that risk on, which had reappeared a few days ago, has practically, in short, completely subsided from a weekly perspective. In short, we have leaned right on the gap. It is almost completely closed. This gap was left between Friday and Monday, So we will see calmly. The sum SD2 could represent the closing of the gap. So these are all scenarios that we need to be ready for and keep in mind in our operations today from a macroeconomic perspective. Today there are also important data, for example, the closing of the gap at 1:30 p.m. Italian time, so about an hour before the 8:30 opening. In the US, there are also the weekly unemployment benefit claims. This is also important. In short, these are definitely two market-moving data points, so pay close attention at those times. Gaetano. Then tonight, there's another one. A speech that could certainly also influence American destinies, even though it concerns Europe. Because the president of the ECB, Lagarde, is speaking, that is the conference. We'll see what she has to tell us. So it's a day that awaits us and is quite full of events. Pay close attention because there is this bearish pressure. So please, in short, operate with caution, maybe reduce the size, try to work with the trend, do not work against the trend if there is a directionality, because, as I said, the situation has become binary again. So we have these directional changes, strong, sudden, and decisive, that we need to pay attention to and be careful with. Perfect. This concludes the first analysis for the Nasdaq. Let's look at the S&P, which is in a situation, well, mirrored, quite similar. Here too we are. We are working a little above yesterday's BC3 level. A similar situation at the moment with the ring and this 57.75, we can say 57, 57.30. I expect that probably, well, we will manage to stay, like for the Nasdaq, above these levels. Then we'll see. Well, at the opening. Even though at the moment, I repeat, in Europe, the opening was, well, in letters, quite abundant. Then we'll see later, maybe with the tax, so maximum attention to these levels, obviously. Well, at 565. The closing of this is 5 to 720. Well, a break of these lows here would really give space. 5 to 660. Well, the level we have indicated several times would again give space, well, to more abundant declines. Then maybe we'll also see it on SPX on a 4-hour chart. Well, the situation, I repeat, seemed to have picked up a bit, but essentially then everything reappeared exactly as we essentially expected. Because if we go to place ourselves at these levels, the rollover points, we find ourselves at the SPX levels, so absolutely in line with what we expected, where the sellers would have reappeared. I couldn't imagine that Trump would participate in this return, but certainly the president's words have set off this movement. Perfect. Let's move on to the other two American futures that we follow. Here they are, starting with the Dow Jones. It also had a good decline, although more sustained. At the moment, it had recovered better. It's a bit more robust, precisely in view. But anyway, of this Trump policy, which will tend to favor the American companies. So certainly the companies that are part of the Dow Jones can benefit from it, as well as those in the Russell. Certainly, in short, I expect, as I have repeatedly emphasized in these morning briefings, a greater recovery from the Russell, especially at the moment. As for the Dow Jones, we are working precisely on today's HV level. In short, it holds up a little better compared to the Nasdaq, but even here the situation. In short, obviously, if this decline were to widen, in short, these other two futures could certainly be affected as well. Although, in my opinion, to a lesser extent, as it was already the case yesterday. In short, the recovery was also more substantial. Now the decline, in short, has been more contained. So certainly, these are the two that could benefit the most from Trump's policies. This, on the other hand, is the Russell. I was working below the 200 mark, which would be important to recover for a new attempt to regain the upward trend. We are working above HV even in the area this morning. Exactly 200 didn't make it, 298, so 298. So it's important. It would be important to surpass this level. So the 2100 mark in short recovered around 3 of 1. In short, it could also provide a test of the higher BCD levels. Certainly, however, I repeat, at the moment the day started on a negative note, even though right now they are recovering. In short, the Nasdaq, from where we were talking 5 minutes ago, in short, it recovered very well from the level, 350 points. Beautiful. Now here it is forming the new level for the European session. Here it is where the price stopped exactly. This is the level where there is a perfect level. Let's move on to Europe. Taking a look at the DAX, as I was saying. In short, an electric opening. We see it right away. Abundant volumes. We have already even broken the minimum expectation. It stopped just before the level value area, even if I call it that, it has nothing to do with it, with the value area of the volume profile. It has to do with volumes, but it is based on a different calculation. However, as I have reiterated several times in recent days, for Europe indeed, I see it as the opportunity of which has been, that is, if ever there are rumors and news, indeed repeated several times, and I repeat it once again. In short, nothing like trends, beautiful descending. In short, and Cyvet, they are attempting a rebound from here. We'll see if it hasn't been just 20, 25 minutes since the market opened, but they are the direction. Even here, it seems well positioned, even if at this moment they are in recovery. The recovery attempt is there, but we'll see. It's still early. Perfect. Having said that, let's move on to commodities, taking a look at oil, which yesterday, in short, reached the 70 area that we had pointed out. It even broke it for a moment, then went back below. It was working around right within the BC3 level area that will probably contain this movement until the opening, and then maybe it could take an upward direction. In short, the channel seems like a good channel, the one that's holding, if we even wanted to draw it quickly. In short, without really doing anything from a minimum to a maximum, you can see how it has grazed. Then in short, we could adjust it a little bit. But in short, if this channel holds, a continuation of the upward movement could easily test it. There's obviously an exit from the channel, a break of the levels. BC3 in the area of 69.15. This lower part, in short, could certainly lead to a test of these levels, which then, let's say, essentially represent a little bit. The exit from that range we had pointed out is more than just an exit from Regis. Exactly. In short, a grazing of the upper part of that ring. Let's take a look for a moment, maybe 15 minutes. Here it is. So this is the level they might retest if it breaks out of this channel with strength. Okay, let's also take a quick look at GC. They, of course, as a result of this covered descent, have made their way upward, currently already working on the levels. VIX is what's attempting, in short, a test of Monday Max. We are above the BC3 levels, a trend. In short, we have broken out strongly from the rebel. This a test. Tonight, in short, a breakout with a test restarted, another test. Then it restarted. In short, a breakout of the high, so it seems to me a test, a directionality also here, quite evident, obviously. Like link to what is happening in the national markets. Let's take a look at SPX. As I said, we put up the usual 4-hour chart, or if I show you, we have returned below that level again. So maximum attention, because in short here, that third wave we have mentioned several times could start. In short, to test, well, it got right here. I expected a little bit, maybe a little bit more. In short, we could have expected a little more, but then essentially the market resumed. In short, direction, well, if we look at it, it seems clear to me that we can, and as a sign at the moment, like a rebound. Now we are resuming the original direction. Let's say here too, we can frame a channel. In short, I mean, linear regression channels are honestly very, well, I take them very much into consideration because they give us a good trend. I did nothing. I took the minimum and placed it here. So be careful with this small channel, because a break here could give, or it could hold this channel now and start rising again. In short, anything on is possible. So be careful. Maybe you can trace it. Keep in mind, this is a 4-hour chart. Okay, perfect. Having said that, I don't think I'm forgetting anything about those who trade commodities. Don't forget that today, the gas contract switch, let's take a look. If they, here it is. Yes, it switches to, it goes from April to May. Okay, perfect. Having said that, I'll say goodbye for now. As always, I invite you to leave a like on the video. We'll talk again later in the chat, and thank you all for your attention.